To get further information about connectivity test, please refer to the ECP Functional Specification, Chapter 4.4 UC Connectivity Test. ECP Endpoint provides two types of connectivity test: connectivity test to component directory and messaging connectivity test to another ECP endpoint. To test the connectivity between ECP endpoint and ECP component directory, go to the Settings page, section Component Directory, and click the Check Connectivity button. When connectivity test is done, the status will be displayed right next to the button. To test the messaging connectivity, go to the Settings page, section Messaging Connectivity, and click the Check Connectivity button. This button will redirect you to the connectivity check page. Choose Receiver ECP Endpoint code from the drop-down menu. Fill the message type you want to test and click the Check button. When connectivity check is done, the status will be displayed right above the check button. To get further information about Readiness Actuator, please refer to the ECP Administration Guide, Chapter 8.6 Readiness Endpoint. ECP Endpoint also provides the Readiness Actuator. The actuator is checking ECP Endpoint's readiness every 5 seconds. It checks if the endpoint is in active state, if authentication certificate is not expired, if the ECP endpoint is reloading its configuration, if it's connected to its internal broker, if it's synchronized with component directory, and if there is at least one valid message path. In case of issue, for example, ECP endpoint is not able to connect to its internal broker, the actuator will respond with status not ready and description of the problem. Actuator's response can be checked by ECP address, ECP module, actuator readiness request, or on a graphical user interface on the dashboard page. Please note that the readiness endpoint has to be enabled in configuration. To get further information about service status check, please refer to the ECP Installation Guide, Chapter 7.4.5 Installation Verification. If the ECP endpoint doesn't respond at all, you can check the service status. Access the ECP application server and execute the systemctl status ECP endpoint.service command to check the current status. To get further information about Howtio, please refer to the ECP Administration Guide, Chapter 5.22 How to enable Howtio console. If the ECP endpoint is not receiving or sending messages, you can check the Howtio console. Please note that the Howtio console has to be enabled. Howtio console can be accessed by ECP address /Howtio. In the console itself, specifically Active MQ tab, you can see all queues used by ECP endpoint. Here you can easily check if the consumer is connected to the queue or if the queue size is unexpectedly growing. To get further information about configuration files, please refer to the ECP Administration Guide, Chapter 4.1.1 System Configuration. In case that ECP endpoint is not starting at all, you might need to check the configuration. The main configuration file, ecp.properties, is located in etc/ECP endpoint folder. Here you can check if there is any valid configuration, for example invalid cron expression or some typo. In case that the mistake is in runtime configuration, you can add recovery mode equals true property to the end of the ECP properties and restart the ECP endpoint. With this property enabled, the ECP endpoint will start in recovery mode and you will be able to fix the runtime configuration. To get further information about login, please refer to the ECP Administration Guide Chapter 5.11 How to configure login. In case of any issues, it's recommended to check the logs. Logs are located in var log ECP endpoint folder. ECP endpoint uses application, audit and Tomcat Catalina logs. Tomcat Catalina log contains mostly events connected with starting and stopping of the application. For example, when the application is not able to start due to memory issue, this information will be logged here. Application log contains all events related to application behavior such as message processing, background jobs and others. By default, application log and audit log are merged together in the ecp.log file, but ECP can be configured to use a separate file for audit login. Audit log contains various events regarding sending or receiving messages, validations, user activities on user interface and much more. List of audit log events can be found in the audit log Excel, which is part of the EcoSP documentation delivery.